skilled talent, and job seekers with employment and career development opportunities. Tune in the third Wednesday of each month at 9:30 a.m. to Career Source Citrus Levy Marion and learn how they can help you.
Broadcasting from the Paddock Mall Studios, this is WOCA, Ocala, Gainesville, The Villages, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.
All right, 23 minutes before 10 o'clock. Do you remember your first job, Robin?
Yes, I do.
Do you remember your wages, your first job?
Yes, I do.
What was it?
It was $5 an hour, and I cleaned a beauty shop when I was 15.
$5 an hour?
Yeah, well, no, $5 per cleaning.
Oh, okay.
I would go in there Sunday afternoon, and it was $5 to clean the beauty shop.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, not $5 an hour.
$1.60 an hour is what I remember.
Wow, yeah.
1972.
Oh, my gosh.
That's when my first
wow.
So the other day I was driving past a fast food place, and they had a sign up there that said $12 an hour. Mm-hmm. So I thought, wow, look how much they're paying nowadays. But then I looked at the little thing on the internet that compares things.
Mm-hmm.
So in 1972, $1.60 an hour is equivalent to $8.94 an hour today.
Wow.
So I think $12 an hour, I'm just going to guess, is probably not as much as $1. Well, I guess it's more than $1.60.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what I mean? It's not that much. It sounds like a lot if you're older, but if you're not, you don't realize how. I mean, just cable TV, it's like $100 a month.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Stuff like that.
I don't have it anymore.
Brad Williams is on the phone. Brad is a financial advisor, and he's the host of Ask Brad. It's a radio show that he does, so he's familiar with this thing that we do. He's the president of Brad Williams Financial Services, and he's talking to us today about the labor report, the largest increase in wages and benefits since September 2008 for workers in this country. Good morning, Brad Williams. It's an honor to have you on our show.
Well, good morning. It's great to be on your show.
Yeah. Do you remember your first job?
Yeah, sure do. I worked at my mother's furniture stripping shop for $1 an hour in 1971.
Oh my gosh! Wow, you were getting underpaid.
Well, that's the thing about working for your mom, you know. Now, actually, before that, I delivered papers, and I won't even tell you, I didn't even make $1 an hour when you really figure out how much I actually made, and I worked every day of the month, rain or shine.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, yes.
Well, that's you're in your own business when you're a paper boy, right? Isn't that your own business?
That's right.
Yeah.
It taught me a lot of good lessons.
It is a good learning experience. Yeah. So am I right? Is $12 an hour? It's not that much. I mean, it sounds like a lot for us because we're older, but I'm just thinking that a kid getting out of school at 12 isn't maybe enough. What do you think?
Well, think about this. I mean, I can remember when a loaf of bread was like, 30 cents. 25, 30 cents.
Yeah, right.
And so when you look at it in relative terms, $12 an hour, that's not a whole lot of money.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to say that I think the government should impose it. That's a political conversation, but I just think the businesses should say, well, can you actually live on this? That's, I guess, the way I feel about it.
Well, and then you've also got to take it in terms of is the minimum wage, set to be a living wage, or is it set to be an entry wage to get you experience to move up the line?
Yeah, and that's
because it's all about value. It's all about value.
That's a good point. I mean, what would get you out of an entry level job more than just needing more money? I would say the $1.60 I made wasn't enough to live on. It was only enough to get me, it was a couple of records. I would buy records back in the day.
You sound like me.
And, when a person is hired on to work somewhere, it's not just about the hourly wage, but it is also about the benefits that are available.
Yeah, and when you think about, I can remember when I didn't have any benefits when I first worked. I mean, I lived with mom and dad. I got their health insurance and all that. I was doing it to get pocket money and gas money and all that. Now, once I started getting older, I could command more because I had more experience.
Yeah, and you don't even think about that when you're a kid working, and a lot of kids. I guess kids still work today while they're still in school. I mean, I think all three of us did. It sounds like. So tell us about the report. It sounds like the report has some optimism in it. Am I right?
Yeah, I would say so. I think what you're seeing now is companies are now looking at expanding, and for a long time they were in a pretty heavy duty regulatory environment. They didn't know what was coming next from Washington, and they didn't know, Obamacare, for example. They didn't really know for a long time what the true impact was going to be. And now they're starting to see a lot of that trimmed. And so they're more optimistic. And now they have to start thinking about, okay, I need to expand. It's a good environment, but I'm going to have to pay these people or I'm going to lose them to somebody else. And so you're seeing companies now value their workers and start to say, okay, unless I want them leaving to go somewhere else, I'm going to have to keep pace.
When you look at there's a website called Zillow, and Zillow will show you the rent and the sale of homes in different places. If you look at New York or San Francisco, it's really expensive to live in those two cities. And I'm guessing those aren't the only two. Here in Central Florida, it's not too bad compared to them. So the wages, therefore, should probably be, I guess, adjusted accordingly. Am I right about that?
Yeah, and they would have to be. That's one of the things that workers have to look at when they're thinking about moving. Is not am I getting more money, but what am I going to have to spend?
Right.
And so sometimes it might come out that it's like a cost benefit analysis you ought to do before you make any action. In fact, more college kids ought to be looking at cost benefit analysis before they take on student loans. Am I going to make enough money to make it worthwhile? And if not, maybe I need to do a work study program.
Does the report just encompass full-time workers, or does it also add on part-time?
Now, that I'm not aware of. I can't answer that question. So I would imagine it's every job because, now most of your part-time jobs, in my experience, don't have a lot of benefits, if any. That's that crest you make when you get into that full-time position, is that you get a lot more added on to it.
So I have a story I've told before on the air, but I want to share it with you. I knew two guys. They're brothers. One brother worked for a law firm in Manhattan in New York City. The other one worked as a janitor at a school on Long Island. Clearly, the one in New York City was making the most money. But now, fast forward 40-something years later, the one who was the janitor is the one sitting with a nice pile of money. The one making the most money didn't. It's like the three
three little pigs,
whatever the parable is, or the story.
Yeah.
Do you know? I mean, so it seems like one was smarter with his money, and it seems like that's what you teach people, like regardless of how much you're making, how to make the most of the money you make.
And in fact, I look at that as my job for my clients is to really dig down and ask the hard questions that they don't like to ask themselves. And really, do you need that? Is this important? And, those are the tough questions a financial advisor ought to get into is to help people get the most out of their money.
And what impact does the Federal Reserve have when they keep pushing out their statements about raising interest rates and things like that?
Well, it's a big statement. Now, I deal with a lot of retirees, and this environment has not been very fun. It's not been very positive for retirees in the respect of, saving is a very important part of a strong economy. And basically, with interest rates being as low as they've been telling people, hey, look, take a risk and get a reward, because if you save and play it safe, you're going to lose money. And so that's one of the things that's driven the stock market up so high over the last 10 years is that it's the only game in town. You can't live on a 1.5% CD.
No, not at all.
It's kind of easy to see it at the age we are, but I'm wondering if it's possible to actually get through to the 17-year-old who's just starting as far as investing money at that age. Because can you imagine were you as smart now as you were then? I mean, the other way around. Were you as smart then as you are now?
Well, no, I'm not. And now I did have an advantage in that when I got my paper out, my dad sat me down and said, you're going to give me $20 a month, and I'm going to take that and put it in a mutual fund and match it with 20.
Nice.
And so I knew how to read the stock page at 12 because of my father.
That's good.
It's teaching.
Yeah, that's
It's
good
teaching.
stuff. Yeah, so somebody who can get through to a young person is definitely going to leave that young person with the tools anyway, whether they use them or not, but the tools to be better off when they gain a few years, like us.
And they don't learn a lot of that in school. They've got to learn it
Right.
at home.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what my dad. I didn't have a choice, quite frankly. He came down every month and took $20 from me and put it in the fund. And that, I didn't even know. That was back when kids didn't question their parents. I didn't know I had a choice. So I did it.
Oh no.
But you're better off for it. Your dad was a smart man.
Yeah, and he taught me a lot. I learned a lot just by watching him do things, and that's the key. I think too many parents don't do that. And you were mentioning the lawyer and the janitor. One of that is, and I see this in my practice, is that oftentimes those who have the highest gross income have the highest gross outgo. And so they're living the life, and then some of your people who have blue collar jobs, who save a lot. In fact, in my experience, teachers who you don't think make a lot are some of the best savers.
And how about the report? Did it break it down into private sector jobs and public sector jobs?
Right. Well, I'm glad private sector jobs are increasing because you can't fund an economy on public sector jobs. You gotta take out the economy to pay government employees.
That's
now
right.
there is a certain number you need to manage certain things, but we've grown that too much, and that needs to start being pared down through attrition, and that'll help cut back the spending that's driving this economy crazy.
I can see why people are why you're a popular show host. Brad, can you leave us with a website so we can learn more about what you do?
Sure. What I tell people is if you got a financial question, you just ask Brad Williams. And so my website is askbradwilliams.com.
Oh, Ask Brad Williams. Okay. I've Asked Brad Show. Is that two different sites?
No, that's my radio show website. So
Okay.
That's correct. It's just at my primary website. So if they want to go and they want to hear past shows, askbradshow.com.
Okay. And AskBradWilliams.com also. Thank you, Brad. Thank you for taking the time to be with us today.
Well, thank you. It's been a pleasure.
All right. You're welcome.
Have a great day.
Thank you. We'll be right back.
Gene Powell Pasture Mowing, 352-629-2440. Our tractor services include bush hog, disking, front end loader, box blade, and stump grinding. We also have zero-turn mowers for the smaller paddocks, aisleways, fence rows, and lawn care. Fence row spraying is also available for weed control. We are licensed and insured. Gene Powell Pasture Mowing, 352-629-2440, or online at powellgene, Gene, at yahoo.com.